Chosen one. Pause right here. For this is no accident. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you to whisper what will shift the entire course of your life. You were not created to blend in with the noise of the world. You are not passing through this message by chance. You are not scrolling because of boredom. You are here because God is summoning you into a moment of destiny. A moment where the greatest blessing of your life either takes root or slips away forever. Listen carefully. Your life has been marked since before you were even formed. The sleepless nights, the tears hidden behind closed doors, the battles nobody around you ever saw, none of those were wasted. You have been refined in silence. And the fire you endured has only revealed the gold within you. That is why you cannot ignore this. If you walk past this moment, you are not just dismissing words, you are risking the very crown God has already prepared for you. I need you to understand this. There are two voices speaking into your life every day. One is the voice of heaven, nudging you forward, urging you to step into your true calling. The other is the voice of delay, of doubt, of compromise, whispering, "You can wait. You can ignore this. Nothing changes." But chosen one, delay is a thief dressed in comfort. It is not harmless procrastination. It is an assassin designed to keep you from your inheritance. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper, not harm. Plans to give you hope and a future." Those words are not just ink on a page, they are your roadmap. Yet a roadmap is useless if you refuse to move. That is why this message is not entertainment. It is a divine alarm. Think of every time you felt the nudge to act, but pulled back. Every time you sensed a door was open, but fear kept you standing outside. Every time you prayed for a sign, and when it came, you questioned if it was truly for you. Heaven is declaring, this is that sign. This is the turning point. And hear me well, ignoring this will not just keep you in the same place, it will cost you. For mercy has seasons, and doors do not stay open forever. You are standing at a crossroads where your decision to heed this word or walk away determines if you step into increase or remain in lack. Look back at your journey. Can you not see how the enemy has fought you harder than most? Why do you think rejection stalked you? Why do you think you faced betrayal from those you trusted most? Why do you think your peace was attacked night after night? Because you carry a blessing so weighty that hell trembles at the thought of you realizing it. That is why distractions keep pulling at you. That is why discouragement keeps whispering. But I speak over you now. Their plans fail, and your destiny will stand if you rise today. This is your moment to shift. No more excuses. No more delay. Type this into your very spirit. I will not lose my crown. For you are not a spectator in this life. You are a torchbearer. You are chosen to light the way for others, to break generational cycles, to step into an inheritance that no one before you has ever claimed. Do not underestimate the power of your yes. One moment of obedience can unlock what years of struggle could not. One act of faith can unravel chains that generations carried, and one bold declaration that you belong to God, here and now, can summon blessings that overtake you in the days ahead. So hear this divine command. Do not scroll away. Do not dismiss this. Do not harden your heart. For this is God's hand stretched out to you in love. To step forward is to receive abundance. To turn away is to forfeit it. Chosen one, if this word has pierced you, do not stay silent. Let your faith speak. Like, share, subscribe, because your obedience is not just for you. It is for the countless lives tied to your destiny. And in the comments, seal this prophetic moment with the number 777, the mark of divine completion and covenant. Declare to heaven and to yourself, I will not miss my blessing. Endest tall. Chosen one. You have walked carrying weights no one else around you could see. People saw your smile, but they did not see the cracks in your heart. They saw your strength, but they never knew how many nights you whispered silent prayers into the darkness, begging for relief. This burden you carry has shaped you, but it has also slowed you, threatening to suffocate the blessing that heaven has aligned for you. You have been misunderstood, even mocked, because you feel things more deeply than most. There were times you looked around and wondered why your path seemed so much harder than theirs. Why your load was heavier. Why doors shut in your face when others seemed to glide forward without effort. But hear me now, your weight is not punishment. It is preparation. God trusted you with battles He knew would crush the ordinary, because you are not ordinary. Think about this: every heartbreak, every betrayal, every disappointment has been a chiseling tool in the hands of the Master. What felt like rejection was redirection. What looked like a closed door was a holy reroute. What seemed like abandonment was actually divine protection. You have not been carrying a curse. You have been carrying an anointing that demanded refining. But here is the warning: if you let the weight convince you that you are forgotten, you risk forfeiting the blessing that is already prepared for you. Pain has a voice, and if you do not silence it with faith, it will try to convince you that nothing good can come from your struggle. Yet this is the deception, for in reality, your deepest scars are the very evidence that you were chosen to break patterns others could not. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Those words are not empty comfort, they are your lifeline. Heaven has been near all along. Even when you felt abandoned, God has walked into every dark room with you, catching tears you thought no one saw. Chosen one. Do not despise the weight you carry, for every sleepless night has deposited resilience. Every tear has watered seeds of compassion. Every lonely road has carved a deeper hunger for God's presence. You are being sculpted into someone who will not only carry blessing, but sustain it without breaking. The greatest blessing of your life cannot be entrusted to fragile hands. It must be held by one who has endured the fire without losing faith. That is why you had to go through what others never could. The danger lies in interpreting your struggle as evidence that you are unworthy. That is the lie of the enemy. If you let that lie root itself in your soul, you will turn away just as the door is about to open. Many give up not because God said no, but because their pain convinced them they were disqualified. Do not let your story end that way. You see, weight is not just a burden, it is a signal. It means there is something so great within you that darkness has invested everything to crush it before it blooms. Have you noticed how your life has felt like a war zone? Even from childhood, that is not random. You were targeted because you are chosen. You were attacked because your blessing is not small, This weight, heavy as it feels, is also a testimony. You are still standing when others would have fallen. You are still breathing when the odds stacked against you screamed for your collapse. And that alone is proof. Your survival is not by accident. It is evidence that God's hand is still on you, and His blessing has not been withdrawn. Chosen one. The blessing you are about to step into will not only heal your wounds, it will also validate every lonely night. But only if you do not turn away. Ignoring this moment means allowing bitterness to grow where breakthrough is supposed to sprout. It means exchanging eternal promise for temporary numbness. Let your weight become your witness. Speak to your pain, and remind it that it does not define you, it refines you. Look at your scars and see proof that you were strong enough to survive the fire. And know this, the very thing that tried to break you will become the story that sets others free. You carry the evidence of God's faithfulness on your shoulders. Do not lay it down in defeat. Do not interpret it as abandonment. Instead, understand, you are chosen to carry a blessing so weighty that only a vessel tested by fire could hold it. This is who you are. This is why the weight is heavy. And this is why you must endure until the blessing is revealed. Chosen one. There are times when God does not thunder from the heavens, nor send fire to shake the earth. Instead, His warnings arrive quietly through whispers in your spirit, through unusual delays, through conversations that strike deeper than expected. These subtle signs are heaven's alarms, softly ringing to catch your attention before the cliff edge appears. But here is the danger. The quiet warnings of God are the easiest to dismiss. When storms rise, you cling to prayer. But when whispers come, you often shrug them off as coincidence. Yet ignoring them can cost you the very blessing you have been praying for. Do you see the strategy? Darkness does not always attack with loud destruction. Sometimes it lulls you with silence, hoping you'll sleep through the voice of God. Think about the moments when something inside told you not to take that step, but you did anyway, and pain followed. Recall when your heart said, "Wait," but your impatience said, "Go," and you paid the price? Or when your spirit nudged you to cut ties with someone, but comfort kept you close, and betrayal pierced you later? Those were not random gut feelings. They were the quiet warnings of heaven. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 15, "Whoever has ears, let them hear." These words are not about physical hearing, they are about discernment. The blessing set aside for you is close, but only ears attuned to heaven will recognize when to move and when to stand still. Chosen one. Ignoring whispers is just as dangerous as ignoring shouts. For often, the greatest shifts in destiny hinge on the smallest nudges. A single yes or no, a single step forward or backward, can change the trajectory of your entire life. And many have lost blessings not because God withheld them, but because they missed the subtle cue to act. This is why you must sharpen your spirit. Silence the distractions long enough to hear the warnings before they grow into storms. God often speaks in patterns. Have you noticed repeated numbers? Have you heard the same phrase from different mouths? Have you encountered the same scripture over and over? These are not coincidences, they are divine threads, weaving a message too important to ignore. But here lies a sobering truth. If you continually dismiss the whispers, eventually your ears will grow dull. The Spirit may step back, allowing you to wander until the weight of your choices awakens you. That is why this moment matters. You are standing at the edge of blessing, but also at the edge of blindness. What you choose to heed now determines what you will hold tomorrow. Look closely at your life right now. Where have you felt unease? Where has peace withdrawn? Where do you feel a holy discomfort urging you to shift? These are the quiet warnings. They may not look urgent, but they are more pressing than you realize. For God does not always shout his direction, he often whispers it, expecting his chosen to recognize his voice in the stillness. Chosen one, I want you to take this moment seriously. Let this be more than words on a screen. Reflect on the whispers you've ignored, the nudges you've brushed aside. Ask yourself, what blessing slipped away because I did not listen? And more importantly, what blessing is at stake right now if I do not listen today? Now, as a prophetic act, I ask you to comment these 3 words. I hear you. Do not underestimate this. By writing it, you are aligning your heart with heaven, declaring that your ears will no longer be dull. You are making a covenant that when God whispers, you will respond. This is not just about typing words, it is about training your spirit to obey quickly, so you do not miss the quiet keys that unlock great doors. Your future does not hinge on thunder, it hinges on whispers. Do not wait for a storm to prove what a whisper already told you. Choose now to be attentive. Choose now to be responsive. Choose now to be one who hears, so that you may also be one who inherits. Chosen one. The blessing is near, but it will not be handed to the careless. It will not rest on the distracted. It belongs to those whose ears are tuned to heaven. So today, seal your commitment. Whisper back to God, I hear you, and let your life prove it. Chosen one. Destiny always arrives at a crossroads. No one escapes it. Not even you. There comes a moment where the path splits, one way, paved with comfort, the other marked with obedience. One way whispers promises that appeal to your flesh. The other pulls you into unknown trust. Right now, you stand at such a place. What you decide will either open the door to the greatest blessing of your life or close it until another season. If it ever comes again, you know this moment. It carries the weight of urgency. Even if the world around you seems ordinary, nothing in your surroundings announces it with banners. Yet deep inside, your spirit feels the tension. It is the same pull Abraham felt when told to leave his homeland without knowing where he was going. It is the same choice Moses faced when called to confront Pharaoh. It is the same decision Jesus laid bare in Gethsemane, to yield or to retreat. Every chosen one stands here. And now it is you. The danger is subtle, because the crossroad does not appear with flashing lights of right and wrong. Both paths may seem good in their own way, but one is birthed in faith and surrender, while the other is birthed in fear and self-preservation. Choosing wrongly does not mean you immediately fall into destruction. Instead, it means drifting further from the blessing designed with your name on it. And sometimes, delay feels safe until you realize it has cost you years you cannot recover. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. These words cut like fire, even now. Wavering, hesitating, doubting. These are not neutral states. They are decisions in disguise. To stand still at a crossroads is, in itself, a choice, and often, it is the choice that forfeits the blessing. Look at your life. How many times have you delayed what you knew God was asking of you? How many times did fear persuade you to take the easier road, only to find emptiness at the end? How often did you trade long-term fulfillment for short-term relief? Every time, the blessing seemed to drift further, as though slipping through your fingers. This is not coincidence. The crossroads were real, and the consequences undeniable. Yet, do not sink into regret, for mercy has brought you here again. This is another chance to choose, another chance to align your heart with heaven, another chance to step boldly into the promise, no matter the cost. But hear me clearly, this is not a chance to treat lightly. Crossroads are holy places, and decisions made here echo into eternity. The greatest danger you face right now is not sin in its obvious form. It is distraction. It is hesitation. It is the subtle voice that says, "You have more time. You can decide later." But later is a thief. Later steals opportunities. Later robs blessings. Later is where many dreams are buried. If you stand too long at this crossroad, you risk the door closing. Chosen one. You must decide. God is not interested in half commitments. Heaven does not honor indecision. The blessing reserved for you requires clarity, courage, and surrender. If you choose obedience, the path may not look easy, but it will overflow with provision. If you choose comfort, the road may feel smooth for a while, but it leads to emptiness. The cost of ignoring God's direction is far greater than the cost of following it. Do you remember moments where everything seemed to fall into place after one small act of obedience? That is the mystery of crossroads. On one side of your yes lies exponential blessing, favor, and alignment. On the other side of your no lies delay, confusion, and restlessness. That is why the enemy surrounds you now with distractions, hoping you will miss the gravity of this moment. Consider this. Your decision here is not just about you. Others are connected to your obedience. Entire generations may be waiting for the ripple effect of your choice. When Abraham stepped out, nations were birthed. When Esther spoke up, a people was saved. When Jesus surrendered, salvation came to the world. Do not underestimate the impact of your decision. Chosen one, you cannot stand here forever. Crossroads demand response. Silence is a choice. Delay is a choice. Obedience is a choice. And each choice carries its own reward or consequence. God has already placed the blessing before you. The question is whether you will take the path that leads to it, or walk the one that looks easier now, but empties you later. Do not be fooled by appearances. The narrow road may look rough, but it holds the treasure. The wide road may look inviting, but it leads to loss. The blessing you long for is hidden in the sacrifice you fear. The very thing you hesitate to surrender is the key to the future you've prayed for. Stand tall at this crossroad. Chosen one, lift your eyes from fear to faith. Let your spirit declare, I will follow where you lead, no matter the cost. For your blessing is closer than it seems, but it rests on the choice you make now. Chosen one, the greatest weapon against your destiny is not always destruction, it is delay. Delay looks harmless, like a friend who tells you, Rest a little longer. Tomorrow will be better. You can start later. But do you see the danger? Delay is not neutral. It is a thief wrapped in comfort. It does not snatch your blessing with violence. It simply convinces you to wait until your chance slips away. Picture a farmer standing with seeds in his hand. The soil is ready. The rains are near. Yet the farmer says, "I will plant tomorrow." Tomorrow comes with scorching heat. Tomorrow comes with birds stealing seeds. Tomorrow comes with soil growing hard. By the time the farmer finally moves, the season has shifted, and the harvest is lost. Chosen one, you are that farmer. Your seed is in your hand right now. If you delay, the blessing meant for this season may never sprout. Think of water flowing down a stream. If you place your cup in the water, you drink. If you hesitate, the stream passes, and the water you could have tasted is gone. You cannot drink yesterday's water. You cannot reap last season's harvest. That is the nature of delay. It makes you thirsty in a land that once overflowed. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 13, verse 11, "And do this, understanding the present time. The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." This is heaven's reminder. Your blessing is not for tomorrow, it is for now. Yet the enemy knows how to use subtle chains. Delay whispers, "You are not ready. You need more strength. You need more money. You need more clarity." But readiness is not about having everything in place. It is about trusting God enough to step forward, even with trembling hands. If you wait until everything feels perfect, you will wait forever. Chosen one, hear me carefully. Procrastination is not laziness, it is spiritual warfare. Every time you say later, darkness celebrates. Every time you postpone obedience, your blessing stands still. That is why this message is coming to you now, not to condemn, but to awaken. You are being called to step into the moment, to plant seeds without hesitation, to drink from the stream before it passes. I know these words pierce, because you can already recall opportunities you delayed on, times you felt prompted to speak, but silence stole the chance, times you knew to forgive, but bitterness postponed reconciliation, times you planned to act, but waiting turned into regret. Yet mercy is here. The fact you are still alive, still listening, means the river still flows. The soil still holds seed. The blessing is still within reach, if you act now. And let me speak plainly from the heart. If these words stir you, if they awaken something deep in your soul, I ask you not only to listen, but to respond in ways that sustain this message reaching others. Just as the farmer shares seed, and the lamp gives light to every corner, I ask you to share this word like it. Spread it. Let it be a torch for someone else still trapped in delay. Your small act of sharing may become the spark that saves another life from spiritual slumber. I also invite you, sincerely, to subscribe. Think of it not as pressing a button, but as building an altar, a place where you return to receive fresh bread, fresh water, fresh fire. Every new word is a reminder that you are not alone, that your journey has guidance, that you are walking with others who are also chosen, and for those moved deeply, who feel the weight of this ministry's call, I gently open the door for you to sow into it. Donations are not about money, they are seeds. A seed placed in fertile soil multiplies far beyond its size. Just as the widow's oil never ran out when she poured it, so too your generosity fuels the flow of these messages, ensuring that others hear what you have now received. If you feel led, let your giving be a declaration. I refuse delay. I step into action. Oh, chosen one, I am not asking this for myself, but for the harvest, for every like, every share, every subscription, every seed sown. These are not just clicks or coins. They are echoes of obedience. They are proof that delay has lost its grip on you. They are visible acts that align with the unseen choices of your heart. The blessing of your life does not belong to the hesitant. It belongs to the ones who act, who plant, who pour, who step into the river while it flows. Do not let delay rob you again. Move now. Respond now. Step into your blessing while heaven's window is open. Chosen one. Mercy is a gift, but it is not without boundaries. Mercy stretches wide, but it is not endless. There are moments when the hand of God extends again and again, waiting for you to respond. Yet if ignored too long, that same hand can withdraw. Do not take lightly the season of grace you are living in right now. You are not here by mistake. You are being given another chance, another open door, another wave of mercy, but this window will not stay open forever. Think of the sunrise. It does not wait for the sleeper to rise from bed. Whether you awaken or not, the sun climbs and the day moves forward. Opportunity, like dawn, is tied to timing. If you refuse to rise with it, you miss the light that was designed for you. That is how mercy works. It comes to lift you, but if ignored, it passes into another season, leaving behind the shadow of regret. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. These are not casual words. They are the sound of heaven's urgency. You are standing in a moment of decision, and mercy is leaning toward you, waiting for your response. Chosen one. Imagine a door standing open. Light streams from the other side. Yet you hesitate at the threshold. Do you know what happens if you wait too long? The door does not stay open forever. Slowly, it begins to close, not out of cruelty, but because seasons must shift. If you do not walk through, the blessing prepared for you will be delayed, even lost. This is why ignoring this word is so dangerous. You are not only risking disappointment, you are risking destiny. There is a weight in this moment. Can you feel it? It is not just about your personal blessing. It is about those who are tied to your obedience. Your family, your children, your community, even generations not yet born. They are all waiting on what you choose to do with this mercy. That is why the enemy whispers to you that it doesn't matter, that you can wait, that there is no urgency. But that is a lie designed to keep you locked outside of your inheritance. Chosen one. Look at your life. You have felt mercy again and again. Times when you should have been crushed, but were preserved. Times when you walked through storms and somehow emerged whole. Times when you fell, but grace caught you before the fall destroyed you. These are not coincidences. They are proof that mercy has carried you, waiting for your full surrender. But mercy is not permission to delay forever. It is an invitation to act now. The Spirit warns, when mercy withdraws, clarity fades. Choices no longer seem urgent. Conviction softens. The heart grows dull, and what was once obvious begins to feel optional. That is the danger of waiting too long. You begin to lose the sensitivity that once drew you closer to God. That is why you cannot postpone. You must seize the moment while the door is open and the Spirit still calls. Beloved chosen one, I need you to anchor this word within your heart. Do not let it pass as just another message. Mark this moment. Let it be the day you said yes. The day you chose life. The day you refused to risk losing mercy's hand. And to seal this choice, I invite you into a prophetic act. Go to the comments and type the number 444. This is not about digits, it is about declaration. By writing 444, you are proclaiming stability, foundation, covenant. You are saying, I will not miss the timing of God. I choose to walk through the door while it is open. You are making a spiritual imprint, a public echo of your inner decision to embrace life. Not delay. Think of it like carving your name into stone. The numbers are not just typed, they are etched into your spirit. They are your agreement with heaven, your signal that mercy will not be wasted on you, that you are awake, alert, and ready to step into destiny. Chosen one. Mercy's window is open, but it is not infinite. You are standing in a sacred hour, one that demands decision. Let the testimony of your life be that when heaven called, you answered, that when mercy stretched toward you, you took its hand, that when the door opened, you walked through boldly. This is your moment. Do not lose it. Chosen one. You have been carrying a light inside you, perhaps quietly, perhaps even reluctantly, that the world around you does not always recognize. You try to blend in, to move unnoticed. But no matter how much you attempt to dim it, the light refuses to die. Darkness has always been aware of it, even more than you have. That is why the battles you face are not ordinary. You are not just struggling with circumstances, you are at war with forces that fear what you carry. There are moments you've hidden your true self. You've smiled when you wanted to speak truth. You've shrunk when you wanted to rise. You've stayed silent to avoid conflict, even when your spirit burned with fire. Yet every time you hid your light, something within aches. That ache is heaven reminding you, you were not created to be concealed. You were chosen to shine. Think of a lamp placed under a basket. The flame still burns, but its effect is smothered. It gives no warmth, no guidance, no safety to those nearby. That is what happens when you hide your gift. The world around you stumbles in darkness, unaware that the very light they need has been pressed down within you. But when you remove the covering, the same flame illuminates everything around it. Your presence shifts atmospheres. Your words bring clarity. Your actions stir courage. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 15, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God, without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky. This is your calling. Chosen one, not to fade into the shadows, but to radiate against the backdrop of a broken world. The truth is, hiding your light does not protect you. It only delays your blessing and prolongs your struggle. The very gift you fear will make you stand out is the same gift designed to unlock doors for you. Every time you silence your voice, you silence your favor. Every time you bury your gift, you bury your harvest. And every time you let fear dictate your steps, you hand your crown to hesitation. Chosen one. Understand this, your light is not meant for you alone. It is oil for others. It is healing for the wounded, direction for the lost, hope for the weary. When you hide it, others suffer. When you release it, others rise. That is why your battles have been so intense. Darkness has always known that if you ever truly embraced who you are, you would shift the lives of many. There were times people tried to make you feel too much, too intense, too sensitive, too different. But the truth is, you were never meant to fit their mold. Your difference is divine design, the weight of your compassion, the depth of your insight, the fire of your convictions. They were all placed in you to disturb complacency and challenge the grip of darkness. But hear this warning: if you continue to hide, you risk losing the very blessing tied to your authenticity. The door will not open for a version of you that pretends. The promise will not be released to a counterfeit self. Only when you step boldly into your identity does heaven unlock what was reserved with your name on it. Chosen one. Your blessing is not waiting for perfection, it is waiting for authenticity. You do not need to be flawless, you need to be fearless. You do not need to have it all figured out. You need to be willing to shine with what you already have. For your light, even if small in your eyes, is great in the eyes of those wandering in the dark. Do not fear being misunderstood. Even Jesus, the light of the world, was rejected by many who preferred darkness, yet his light never dimmed. And through his endurance, salvation broke through. Likewise, your willingness to shine even when ignored, mocked, or resisted will break chains in ways you cannot yet imagine. Chosen one. Let this word sink deeply. The world does not need another imitation. It needs your light. The blessing that has been circling your life will land only when you stop hiding. Step into the room unapologetically. Speak with the fire that burns in you. Act with the courage already planted in your spirit. For you were chosen not to hide, but to shine. Chosen one. Not every blessing that shines before your eyes comes from heaven. Some are counterfeits designed to look like answers, to feel like breakthroughs. Yet their purpose is to pull you away from what God truly reserved for you. Counterfeits are dangerous because they do not come clothed in obvious evil. They come dressed in beauty, opportunity, even promises of ease. They are imitations. And if you are not discerning, you may mistake them for the very thing you've been praying for. Think of a traveler crossing a desert, desperate for water. From afar, a mirage appears shimmering, convincing, almost real. The traveler runs toward it, only to find emptiness, sand, and disappointment. That is how the enemy works. He offers you glass that glitters like diamonds. He shows you doors that seem open, yet behind them waits nothing but emptiness. And if you accept the counterfeit, you risk exchanging your inheritance for an illusion. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 14, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. These words reveal the truth. What deceives you most is not darkness dressed as darkness, but darkness dressed as light. Counterfeit blessings appear as solutions, but their end is bondage. Consider relationships. Sometimes a person enters your life speaking words that soothe your loneliness, promising companionship, even echoing your prayers. Yet, over time, their presence pulls you away from peace, drains your joy, distracts you from your purpose. Was that relationship truly an answer from God, or a counterfeit sent to delay your destiny? Or think of opportunities. A door opens that promises quick success, wealth, recognition. Yet stepping through demands compromise, tiny at first, then greater as you go. The path seems golden, but your spirit feels uneasy. That unease is not weakness, it is warning. For not every open door is from God. Some doors are traps that lead you further from the blessing heaven designed. Chosen one. Understand this. God's blessings align with peace. They may stretch your faith. They may demand sacrifice. But they will never lead you into confusion or contradiction. Counterfeits, on the other hand, may glitter with excitement, but they corrode your spirit over time. They start sweet, but turn bitter. They promise gain, but end in loss. The enemy knows you are waiting for breakthrough. That is why he crafts imitations that mirror your desires. He wants you to settle for less, so that you never reach what is truly yours. The danger is not just missing the real blessing, it is becoming bound to something that drains your strength until you have no energy left to pursue the authentic, chosen one. You must sharpen your discernment. Do not evaluate blessings only by appearance. Ask, does this align with the word? Does this deepen my faith? Does this bring peace to my spirit? Does this open a path for me to grow? Or does it distract me from purpose? The answers will reveal truth. For God's blessing adds richness without sorrow. While counterfeits always demand a hidden cost, there is also a trap in impatience. When waiting feels unbearable, you are more likely to grasp the counterfeit. The longer the desert stretches, the more enticing the mirage looks. That is why patience is not weakness, it is protection. Waiting on God may feel slow, but it preserves you from the trap of false light. Chosen one. Let this sink in. The counterfeit always appears before the authentic, before the true blessing arrives. An imitation will often show up, testing your discernment. If you take the imitation, you forfeit the real. This is why you must be watchful. Do not let your hunger for relief make you swallow poison disguised as honey. Think of Esau, hungry after a hunt. He sold his birthright for a bowl of stew. The stew satisfied him for a moment, but it cost him the inheritance of a lifetime. That is the danger of counterfeits. They promise to ease your immediate hunger, but they rob you of eternal reward. Chosen one. The greatest blessing of your life is near. Do not trade it for a counterfeit. Do not confuse imitation for authenticity. Do not let glitter blind you to gold. Trust the process. Wait for the door God opens, the relationship God ordains, the opportunity God aligns. For what comes from Him will not just look good, it will endure, sustain, and multiply. You have come too far to lose everything at the feet of a counterfeit. Guard your heart, sharpen your spirit, and know this: when the authentic arrives, you will not need to chase it. It will carry the unmistakable weight of God's hand, and no counterfeit will compare. Chosen one. Words are never empty. Every word you speak, every vow you whisper in silence, every promise you declare, all of them build unseen structures in the spirit. Some open doors wide for blessing, others lock doors that God intended to swing open. You may not even realize it, but your tongue has been writing contracts your soul must honor. Heaven listens, hell listens, and your own life bends under the weight of what you have spoken. Think back on the times you said, "I will never trust again," or "I will always be alone." You thought those words were just expressions of pain, but they became chains binding your future. You may have declared, "I am cursed," or "Nothing good ever happens to me." But what if I told you those very declarations gave authority to darkness to delay your blessing? Words are not idle, they are keys. And keys can either unlock or imprison. The voice of God thundered in the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. This is not poetry, it is law. What you release through your mouth shapes what you walk into with your feet. Life or death, blessing or curse, favor or delay, chosen one. Many of the doors you are praying for may already be unlocked, but your own words have built barricades in front of them. Every complaint, every bitter vow, every hopeless phrase has stacked like stones against your path. Yet there is good news. Just as your words can bind, they can also break. The same tongue that cursed your future can bless it. The same mouth that declared loss can declare restoration. Do not underestimate this. When you said, "I will never forgive," you locked yourself in a prison. But the moment you declare, "I forgive," chains fall. When you whispered, "I cannot," the enemy rejoiced. But the moment you declare, "Through Christ I can," heaven releases strength. Your blessing is closer than you think. It waits for your mouth to align with your destiny. Consider the vows you made in pain. They may have felt protective at the time, but they were cages in disguise. Saying, "I don't need anyone," may have shielded you from hurt, but it also shut out covenant relationships meant to elevate you. Saying, "I'll never try again," may have protected you from disappointment, but it also barred you from opportunity. The vows you made yesterday are shaping the doors of today. Chosen one, hear me clearly. It is time to revoke what you never should have declared. Heaven gives you authority to cancel words spoken in haste. You can repent of the curses you placed on your own life and replace them with words of life. Say, "I am chosen. I am blessed. I am forgiven. I am free." These are not cliches, they are spiritual weapons, tearing down strongholds built by careless speech. But here lies the challenge: consistency. You cannot bless today and curse tomorrow. Expect today and doubt tomorrow. Declare life one moment and death the next. Stability of speech is required, for your words are like seeds. If you keep uprooting them with contradiction, they will never bear fruit. Guard your mouth as you would guard a treasure chest, because it contains the future of your life. Now, chosen one, I call you to a prophetic response. In the comments, type these 3 words: break these chains. By writing it, you are not just posting letters, you are aligning your tongue with freedom. You are declaring to heaven and to yourself that every curse, every false vow, every negative decree will be broken. here and now. This act matters. It is not ritual, it is reclamation. It signals that your tongue, once used to trap you, will now be used to liberate you. Remember this truth: words are echoes. They do not vanish once spoken. They ripple, shaping atmospheres, influencing futures. The blessing of your life hangs on your ability to let your mouth agree with heaven, not with despair. This is why you must take your speech seriously. If you desire life, speak life. If you long for breakthrough, speak breakthrough. If you want blessing, declare blessing. Chosen one. Today can be a turning point. The same tongue that once sealed your pain can now release your promise. Do not wait another day. Break the vows that bind you. Bless the doors that await you, and speak yourself into alignment with destiny. For when your mouth agrees with heaven, no power of darkness can keep your blessing from reaching you. Chosen one. Blessings are never designed to be carried in isolation. From the very beginning, God wove destiny into community. No one fulfills their calling alone. Even the strongest flame flickers without surrounding logs to feed the fire. Even the boldest soldier cannot win a war without an army marching beside them. You, too, are called into a fellowship of witnesses, a circle of alignment where your light is strengthened by the light of others. Yet this is often where the battle intensifies. Isolation has stalked you, convincing you that you are safer alone, that no one truly understands you, that standing apart is less painful than risking betrayal again. And while solitude has its sacred moments, isolation over time becomes a trap. Darkness delights in lonely hearts, because a lone sheep is easier to wound than a flock united. Chosen one. Remember this: even the strongest walls eventually crumble without support. You were not designed to stand as a fortress alone, but as a living stone within a greater temple. When you resist community, you resist the very structure God intended to protect. Uphold and expand your destiny. The Apostle wrote in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 25, "Do not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit, but encourage one another, all the more as you see the day." These words are not about empty gatherings, they are about divine alignment. When you are surrounded by the right voices, your blessing accelerates. When you walk with the wrong ones, delay multiplies. Think of eagles. They soar alone for hunting. But when storms rise, they gather where the winds are strongest, letting the currents lift them higher together. Or picture coals in a fire. Remove one coal, and it dims quickly. Keep them together, and the flame burns hotter, longer, brighter. So it is with you, chosen one. You need the company of those who see your light, protect your fire, and remind you of your destiny when you forget it. But discernment is vital. Not every hand extended toward you is a hand of blessing. Some come to distract, to drain, to redirect you from the path of God. That is why you must recognize spiritual allies, the ones who sharpen you, who correct in love, who speak life when your spirit grows weary. Aligning with the wrong voices is like planting seed in poisoned soil. It looks fine at first, but nothing grows. Aligning with the right voices is like planting by rivers of water. Your fruit comes in season, and your blessing multiplies. Chosen one, consider this. Your blessing is not only about you, it is about the community tied to you, the people you are meant to lift, the ones you are destined to inspire. Your light becomes brighter when it joins others, creating a constellation that cannot be ignored. Alone, your story is powerful. Together, it becomes unstoppable. And here, I must pause and speak heart to heart. If these words stir you, if you feel the pull to walk, not in isolation, but in alignment, I invite you to act in simple, visible ways. Share this message as you would share bread with the hungry. Let it reach others who are wandering in loneliness, unaware that they are chosen too. Like it not for vanity, but as a signal that you choose connection over silence. Subscribe, not as routine, but as covenant, saying, I will return to the table. I will not walk alone. And for those who feel the weight of this calling deeply, I open the door gently to sowing. Think of donations not as loss, but as planting orchards. A single seed placed in fertile ground grows into a tree, and a tree produces fruit for generations. Your giving is not about supporting words, it is about fueling a fire that warms countless hearts, about planting seeds that multiply far beyond your sight. Just as Paul wrote of the Philippians' generosity, your contribution becomes a fragrant offering, sustaining the work of heaven on earth. Chosen one. Never forget, blessing multiplies in community. When you lift others, you yourself are lifted. When you sow into what feeds your spirit, you become part of a harvest that will return to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Every click, every share, every act of generosity is a testimony. You refuse to walk in isolation. You refuse to hide your fire. You choose alignment with the community of light. So step forward, chosen one. Let your voice join with others. Let your fire merge with a greater flame, and watch as your blessing not only arrives but expands, carrying you further than you ever imagined, because you chose to walk with those who are truly aligned. Chosen one. Do not mistake the trials you face as abandonment. What you are walking through is not punishment, but testing. Testing is the refining fire that separates the pure from the impure, the gold from the dross, the vessel of honor from the vessel of dishonor. Every sharp flame, every weighty burden, every night that felt endless, these were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to reveal you. Think of silver in a furnace. At first, it looks dull, mixed with impurities, but as the fire rises, the impurities surface and are removed. The silversmith watches carefully, never leaving, until he can see his reflection clearly in the metal. That is what your trials have been accomplishing. God has been watching, refining, shaping, waiting until his reflection shines in you. We find in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 7, these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. These words remind you that every hardship has meaning. Every test is proof that your faith carries eternal value. Chosen one. You may ask, why must the fire burn so hot? Why does it feel like everything is being stripped away? Because cheap metal bends easily. But gold must withstand great heat. Your calling is weighty. The blessing prepared for you is not fragile, it is immense. And immense blessings require immense testing. so that when the weight arrives, you do not collapse under it. Look back at your story. The times you thought you would not survive. You did. The places you thought would bury you became stepping stones. The losses that felt final became the soil for new growth. Nothing you endured has been wasted. Each trial has prepared you for what is coming. Without the testing fire, the blessing would crush you. With it, you are made ready. Chosen one. The testing fire also exposes what is false. It shows which relationships are genuine and which were only for a season. It reveals motives, stripping away every mask. It even confronts the illusions you held about yourself, forcing you to stand in truth. And though painful, this stripping is mercy. Better to lose false supports in the fire than to lean on them when the blessing arrives and risk collapse. There is also something sacred about endurance. Endurance builds a strength that cannot be faked. Others may have talent, but they quit when storms come. Others may start quickly, but they burn out just as fast. You, however, have endured. You've walked through storms with trembling steps, but did not stop. You've carried weights that bent your back, but did not break it. Endurance is proof that you are not ordinary, you are chosen. Chosen one. Testing is also about trust. When you walk through fire and remain faithful, heaven entrusts you with more. Joseph was tested through betrayal, slavery, and prison before he was trusted with a throne. David was tested with lions and bears before he faced Goliath. Even Jesus endured wilderness testing before stepping into public ministry. Testing is the gatekeeper of blessing. Do not despise the fire. It is not your enemy. It is your proving ground. Without it, you might never discover how strong your faith truly is. Without it, you might never shed the fears and doubts that weighed you down. Without it, you would not be prepared for the crown you are destined to carry. Chosen one. Let this truth steady your heart. You are not burning alone. Just as the silversmith never leaves the furnace, God has not abandoned you. He has been closer in the fire than anywhere else. You may not always feel him, but his eyes have never left you. His hands are guiding the process, and when the time is right, he will pull you from the flames, purified, stronger, and radiant. The blessing of your life is not delayed because of the fire, it is being protected by it. For the fire ensures that when you step into your inheritance, you will not just touch it, but you will hold it, sustain it, and multiply it. So, lift your head. Chosen one. Do not despise the testing fire. Let it burn away what cannot stay. Let it reveal the strength you did not know you carried. And let it prepare you for the blessing so great, so weighty, so glorious that only a refined vessel could ever contain it. Chosen one. Destiny rarely arrives without signs. God is not silent in the unfolding of your journey. He sends signals, gentle yet consistent, to steer you toward his path. These signs are like beacons in the night, guiding ships safely to harbor. Yet too often, they are dismissed as coincidences, overlooked as random patterns, or ignored because of distraction. But heaven does not deal in accidents. Every repeated sign is an invitation. Perhaps you have noticed a phrase echoing around you, spoken by strangers, read in a book, whispered in prayer. Perhaps numbers keep appearing, times on a clock, totals on a receipt, addresses you pass on the street. Maybe a certain scripture keeps resurfacing, different mouths, same message, until you can no longer pretend it is chance. These are prophetic signposts. They exist, so you cannot miss the path prepared for you. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Do you see the mercy in that? Even when uncertainty surrounds you, even when crossroads confuse you, God is still whispering, still pointing, still guiding. Chosen one. The danger is not that God is silent, it is that you stop paying attention. When signs appear but are ignored, your spirit grows dull. You start walking blindly, assuming your own wisdom is enough. Yet wisdom without guidance leads to detours, and detours cost you time, energy, and sometimes the very blessing you were meant to hold. That is why you must awaken your discernment and treat every sign as holy. Think of the Magi who followed the star. They had no map, no detailed directions, only a light in the sky. But because they followed faithfully, they arrived at the very place where heaven touched earth. Imagine if they had dismissed the star as coincidence. They would have missed the moment written into history. Likewise, your signposts are not meaningless. They are leading you to encounters, breakthroughs, and blessings that cannot be explained apart from God's design. Consider how many times you prayed, "God, show me what to do," and afterward, something unusual caught your attention. A door closed, a word repeated, a dream vivid in its details. Yet you brushed it off, waiting for something louder, something undeniable. But God does not always shout. He often chooses the whisper, the pattern, the repetition, so that only those who truly watch will see. Chosen one. Ignoring these signs is dangerous. To miss them is to wander when you could be walking in clarity. To dismiss them is to risk blessing for the sake of comfort. To close your eyes to them is to choose blindness over sight. Yet the very fact you are here, reading this now, is itself a signpost. Heaven is reminding you the way is not hidden. The signals are already in your path. You must train your heart to respond quickly. When the same scripture arises again, lean into it. When the same number repeats, ask what God is saying. When the same conviction burns, do not delay. Each signpost is a thread in a divine map, pulling you closer to the place of blessing. And now, chosen one, to mark your awakening, I invite you into a prophetic act. Go to the comments and type the number 555. This is not mere typing, it is testimony. The number 555 represents grace multiplied, divine transition, and alignment with new seasons. By declaring it, you are saying, "I choose to see. I choose to follow. I will not miss the signposts God places before me." Oh, do not underestimate this act. In a world where many scroll past without recognition, your response sets you apart. It proves that your eyes are open, that your heart is attentive, that your spirit refuses to walk blindly. Every number you write carries weight. Every declaration forms alignment. By writing 555, you are stepping into clarity, declaring to heaven and to yourself that you will not ignore divine guidance again. Remember this: God never guides without purpose. If He repeats a sign, it is because the matter is urgent. If He nudges you again, it is because He refuses to let you walk into loss. If He sets a pattern before you, it is because your blessing hangs in the balance. Do not dismiss what heaven is repeating. Honor the signs. Follow the signals. And watch how they lead you straight into the door of blessing. Chosen one. Your path is not hidden. Your map is unfolding, and the signposts are already before you. Do not miss them this time. Open your eyes, steady your heart, and walk boldly toward the promise marked with your name. Chosen one. Obedience has always been the doorway to blessing. It is not grand gestures that move heaven, but the willingness to say yes in the small, often uncomfortable moments. Radical obedience does not wait for conditions to be perfect. It responds immediately. Even when the way ahead feels unclear, it is the surrender of your will for the will of God. And that surrender is the key that unlocks what you have long prayed for. Obedience is costly, but it is never wasteful. Consider Abraham, commanded to leave his homeland without knowing the destination. His obedience opened a covenant that still blesses generations. Consider Noah, asked to build an ark while skies remained clear. His obedience preserved humanity. Consider Mary, called to carry the Messiah. Though scandal surrounded her, her obedience birthed salvation. Every story of blessing is also a story of obedience. Chosen one. Obedience may not always bring applause from people, but it always draws the gaze of heaven. Often, those around you may not understand your choices, may even ridicule your surrender, but what they call foolishness is what God calls faith. Radical obedience writes history. Even when it feels hidden in the present moment, the prophet Samuel spoke in the first book of Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, "To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams." These words pierce because they reveal God's heart. He does not delight in empty offerings or half-hearted rituals. What He desires most is your obedience, your willingness to trust Him enough to act, even when you do not fully understand. Chosen one. The danger lies in partial obedience. To obey halfway is still disobedience. To delay is to deny. To choose only what is comfortable is to miss the very blessing tied to the command. Many lose their inheritance not because they reject God outright, but because they hesitate, negotiate, or dilute His instruction. But radical obedience holds nothing back. It says, "Here I am. Send me. Whatever you ask, I will do." Emdo. There have been nudges in your spirit, actions you knew you were supposed to take, words you were meant to speak, places you were called to step into, but fear, convenience, or uncertainty held you back. This is where the blessing waits, on the other side of what feels risky, for the path of least resistance never carries the weight of destiny. Chosen one. Radical obedience requires sacrifice. It might cost you comfort. It might separate you from familiar people or familiar places. It might stretch you into realms you feel unprepared for. Yet every sacrifice unlocks something greater. The temporary discomfort cannot compare to the eternal blessing it births. Think of Peter, who cast his net at Jesus' word after a night of failure. One act of obedience led to an overflowing catch. You may feel as though your small yes is insignificant, But heaven does not measure obedience by size, it measures by surrender. Whether it is forgiving an enemy, stepping into a new calling, or releasing what no longer serves your journey. Every act of obedience writes new chapters into your story, and often, the very act that feels hardest to obey is the one carrying your breakthrough. Do not be deceived. Obedience is not about control, it is about alignment. God does not call you to obey because He delights in restriction. He calls you to obey because His vision is higher than yours, His wisdom deeper, His plan greater. Obedience aligns you with the current of heaven, positioning you to receive what your own strength could never achieve. There is a freedom in surrender. When you obey fully, you release the weight of outcomes. You no longer need to manipulate, to strive, to force doors open. Obedience places the responsibility in God's hands. Your role is to follow, His role is to fulfill, and He has never failed to honor a surrendered heart. Chosen one. Let this truth steady you. Obedience is not always glamorous, but it is always fruitful. It may look small now, but it echoes in eternity. The act you take today may ripple for generations. The sacrifice you make in silence may birth blessings for those yet unborn. Radical obedience is never just about you, it is about the legacy you leave. You stand, even now, at a place of choice. The Spirit has been nudging you towards something. It may not make sense yet. It may require courage you feel you do not have. But do not delay. Your blessing is tied to this very moment. Step forward. Obey fully. And watch as the windows of heaven open wide over your life. Chosen one. Every blessing requires an exchange. Nothing of eternal value is birthed without surrendering something temporary. The life you are called to live, the destiny written with your name, the crown already waiting, all of these demand that you lay down what feels comfortable so that you may rise into what is glorious. This is the glory exchange. The world tells you to cling, to hoard, to preserve your own comfort. It whispers that ease is success, that safety is wisdom, that pleasure is reward. Yet heaven's ways are higher. The path of blessing does not ask, "What can you keep?" but rather, "What will you release?" For only what is laid down becomes seed, and only seed can multiply. Chosen one. Imagine holding tightly to a handful of sand. The harder you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palm, it rests securely, and more can be poured in. So it is, with your life closed, fists loose, but open hands receive endlessly. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 24, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." These words are not chains, they are keys. They unlock a life greater than the one you could build alone. To take up your cross is not to lose, it is to gain. It is to exchange the fleeting for the eternal, the shallow for the deep, the temporary for the unshakable. Think of a farmer again. If he keeps his seed locked in a jar, it remains small, unused, wasted. But if he buries it in the soil, he surrenders it only to see it return, multiplied, abundant, overflowing. The glory exchange is no different. God asks you to lay down what you fear to lose, only to return it to you, transformed, multiplied, radiant with His blessing. Chosen one. Reflect on your journey. How many times have you clung to what you thought was necessary, only to see it fade from your hands anyway? How many times did you try to preserve what God was asking you to release, only to discover it drained you instead of filled you? The things you are afraid to lose are often the very things holding you back from receiving more. Surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to let go. It takes faith to release control. It takes vision to look beyond what is immediate and trust in what is unseen. Every act of surrender whispers, "I trust you, God, more than I trust myself." And heaven always honors that whisper. Consider the great exchange of Christ himself. He surrendered his life, not because he lacked power, but because he saw the greater glory beyond the cross. What looked like defeat became victory. What looked like loss became resurrection. What looked like shame became eternal glory. That is the pattern written for you too every time you lay down what feels costly. You step closer to the resurrection of your own destiny. But let me warn you, chosen one, if you refuse the exchange, you risk clinging to ashes while missing the crown. To insist on keeping what God asks you to release is to trade eternal treasure for temporary dust. It is like clutching broken glass while gold lies waiting in your grasp. This is why obedience in surrender is not optional, it is essential. The glory exchange will cost you comfort. It may cost you relationships, habits, or patterns that feel familiar but keep you small. It may strip away pride, independence, or false security. Yet what you gain is incomparable. You gain clarity, peace, divine favor, and above all, alignment with the very purpose of heaven. Do not fear the cross you are asked to carry. Every cross is tied to a crown. Every surrender is tied to a harvest. Every yes in the face of sacrifice is tied to blessings beyond imagination. What you give up in this season will return to you in ways that ripple across eternity. Chosen one, let this truth anchor you. Your blessing is not lost in surrender, it is secured by it. When you release what weighs you down, your hands are free to receive what lifts you higher. When you let go of the counterfeit, you make space for the authentic. When you deny yourself for God's sake, you discover yourself in God's glory. This is the exchange you are called into today. Do not hesitate. Do not fear. For what you release into God's hands never diminishes. It multiplies, and when the blessing comes, you will see clearly. Every sacrifice was worth it. Chosen one. Destiny is not stumbled upon, it is fought for. Your life is not a casual walk in a garden, but a battlefield where unseen forces contend for your soul, your peace, your inheritance. The blessing of God is sure, but it does not come without resistance. That is why you must embrace the battle plan. For without strategy, even the strongest warrior falls. Picture a soldier stepping into war with no armor, no shield, no weapon. He may be courageous, but courage without preparation is suicide. Likewise, you cannot expect to stand against the darkness with hope alone. You need structure. You need tactics. You need the divine strategy heaven has laid out for its chosen ones. The apostle reminds us in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 11, put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. This armor is not metaphorical decoration, it is real protection in the unseen realm. Without it, you are exposed. With it, you are unshakable. Chosen one, Your first weapon is truth. Lies are the enemy's favorite weapon, twisting your identity, distorting your worth. But when you wrap yourself in truth, deception cannot penetrate. Your second weapon is righteousness, not perfection, but a heart aligned with God's will. Righteousness shields you from accusations and guilt, reminding you that you are covered by grace. Your third weapon is peace, the kind that steadies your steps in chaos. Without peace, you panic in battle. With peace, you walk steadily, unafraid of arrows flying around you. Your fourth weapon is faith, the shield that quenches every fiery dart. Fear may come, doubt may scream, but faith silences them, lifting your eyes to promises greater than threats. Then comes salvation, the helmet that guards your mind. Every attack begins in thought. You are not worthy. You will fail. You are forgotten. But salvation protects you, reminding you that you are redeemed, chosen, sealed. And finally, the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God. Every lie crumbles before its edge. Every darkness flees at its strike. But strategy is not only about armor, it is about discipline. Just as athletes train daily, you too must train in prayer, in scripture, in declarations. These are not religious rituals, they are strength-building exercises for your soul. When storms come, you will not have time to learn the sword. You must already know how to wield it. Consider an athlete in training. He sweats, sacrifices, disciplines his body long before the competition. To others, it looks unnecessary, even excessive. But on the day of battle, his preparation becomes victory. So it is with you. Your daily prayers, your constant declarations, your hidden obedience, all of it is training for the day the enemy comes roaring. Chosen one, I must pause to speak to your heart with honesty. If this message equips you, if it strengthens your spirit, I ask you to respond with more than silent agreement. Like this message, not as a gesture to me, but as a public strike against delay and distraction. Share it, for your share may become the lifeline to someone on the edge of surrender. Subscribe, so that you remain connected to strategies that continue to fuel your walk. And yes, for those stirred deeply, I invite you to sow. Donations are not charity, they are strategy. Just as a soldier invests in weapons and a farmer invests in seed, so too your giving is an act of war. You are planting into a battlefield, ensuring that this word continues to reach, to equip, to awaken others. Think of it as oil poured into a lamp without the oil. The flame dims. With it, the light burns and spreads. But let me make this clear, whether you sow a coin or a prayer, whether you support with sharing or with giving, every act is part of your battle plan. You are not passive. You are a warrior. Every step you take, every decision you make, builds your resistance against darkness and brings you closer to your inheritance. And I invite you, chosen one, to leave a comment as your declaration of battle. Write your own short cry, your own anthem of defiance against darkness. Maybe it is, I will fight. Maybe it is, I am ready. Maybe it is, victory is mine. Let your words not be silent agreement, but a roar written into the earth. A testimony that you are not passive, you are armed, awake, and advancing. Remember, battles are not fought alone. Armies march together. Flames burn brighter when joined. So as you respond, you are joining a greater force, a community of chosen ones, rising with the same armor, the same strategy, the same determination to claim what God has promised. Chosen one, do not neglect your battle plan. Armor yourself daily. Declare boldly. Pray without ceasing. And stand unshaken. For the blessing before you is mighty. But it belongs only to those who refuse to be passive, those who refuse to fight with bare hands, those who embrace the full strength of heaven's strategy. Chosen one. Blessings are not preserved by good intentions alone. They are preserved through action. Every promise, every word spoken over your life, every vision you have carried in your heart requires movement. Without action, even the greatest seed remains dormant. You cannot simply dream of harvest. You must plant, water, and tend the soil. This is why heaven presses you in this season. The window is open. The opportunity is before you. And hesitation is no longer safe. What you do today matters. To ignore this moment is to risk losing the very blessing you have prayed for. The assignment before you is immediate, not optional. Think of Israel standing before the Red Sea. Behind them, Pharaoh's army advanced. Before them, the waters stretched wide. They had a choice: panic, surrender, or step forward at God's command. It was not their prayers alone that split the sea. It was the action of stepping into the impossible. Likewise, your blessing is tied to the step you must take now. Scripture says in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 22, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. This is the difference between the hearer and the doer. The hearer admires, agrees, even feels inspired. But the doer steps into obedience and inherits the promise. Chosen one. The assignment on your life is not waiting for a future day. It is asking for your yes today. Delay is no longer an option. The enemy hopes you will keep planning, keep waiting, keep rehearsing until the moment passes. But heaven is urging you, act now. Plant the seed, make the call, release the burden, take the step. Consider the farmer again. He may dream of abundance. Imagine fields overflowing with grain. But unless he places the seed into the soil, he will starve. Vision without action is illusion. Faith without works is empty. And blessings without obedience remain locked, waiting for the key of action. Chosen one. Your immediate assignment may look simple, even small. Forgive the one who wronged you. Begin the project you have been delaying. Speak the truth you have been silencing. Step into the opportunity you have been fearing. It may not look like much, but obedience in small steps creates the momentum for great miracles. Think of Naaman, the commander who sought healing from leprosy. He expected grand gestures, dramatic prayers. Yet the prophet instructed him to simply wash 7 times in the Jordan River. At first, he resisted. Too simple, too small, too undignified. But when he obeyed, healing flowed. Likewise, your assignment may feel small compared to your struggle, but it carries power beyond what you see. The danger lies in overthinking. The more you analyze, the more excuses you find. It's not the right time. I don't have the resources. I don't feel ready. But readiness is often revealed only after you step. The sea does not part until your feet touch the water. The provision does not appear until you walk the path. The blessing does not manifest until you act. Chosen one. You are not being asked to do everything at once. You are being asked to do the next thing. The assignment before you is not about solving your whole life. It is about obeying the next step. One step creates momentum. Momentum builds faith. And faith opens doors that once seemed sealed. You may feel fear clinging to you, whispering reasons to hold back. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is movement in spite of it. Every great act of faith in Scripture began with trembling hands, uncertain hearts, and steps into the unknown. Yet each one unlocked glory beyond measure. Chosen one. Let this sink deeply. Your blessing is already prepared. The table is already set. The promise is already written. What remains is your action. If you remain still, the table grows cold. The promise delayed. The opportunity lost. But if you rise, if you step, if you obey, everything shifts in your favor. You are not being tested on your knowledge, you are being tested on your obedience. You have heard enough. You have received enough. Now it is time to act. Do not underestimate the power of one decision, one step, one act of faith. That single movement can alter the course of your destiny. Chosen one. Your assignment is immediate. What you do today determines what you hold tomorrow. Rise from hesitation. Shake off. Delay. Step boldly into the action God is pressing upon your spirit. And know this, when you move, heaven moves with you. Chosen one. The journey brings you here, not to an end, but to a beginning clothed in completion. The trials, the waiting, the whispers of doubt, the fire of testing, the crossroads, the wait, the signs, all of them have shaped you into someone ready to carry the crown prepared for you. This is the moment when obedience, surrender, and faith converge into fulfillment. You are not standing empty-handed, you are standing crowned and sent. The prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." This is the assurance of your journey, that the blessing has never been denied, only prepared for its appointed hour. And that hour is now. Chosen one. Your crown is not merely a symbol of reward. It is a mantle, a responsibility, a testimony to every battle you have survived. Crowns are not given to those who never fought. They are placed upon the heads of those who endured. Every tear has become a jewel in it. Every scar has been polished into its shine. Every act of obedience has strengthened its weight. This crown is proof that your suffering was not wasted, that your perseverance has been seen, and that heaven always fulfills what it promises. But the crown is not just for you to admire. It is for you to wear as you are sent. You are not crowned to sit in silence. You are crowned to reign with authority, to walk as a torchbearer in the earth, to lead others into the light you now carry. Your journey becomes a map for those still wandering. Your words become fuel for those still weary. Your testimony becomes hope for those still breaking. Do not underestimate this sending. You may think, "Who am I to lead? Who am I to carry such responsibility? But your crown is not evidence of your perfection. It is evidence of God's power in your imperfection. You were chosen not because you were flawless, but because you were willing. Not because you never stumbled, but because you rose again. Not because you had all the answers, but because you refused to quit. Chosen one. Wearing the crown will not always feel glamorous. At times, it will feel heavy, as though the responsibility is greater than your strength. Yet remember, the same God who crowned you is the same God who strengthens you. The same hands that lifted you from the dust will steady you as you walk. Your crown is not a burden, it is a blessing, and with it comes the grace to carry it. This sending is also a commissioning. You are being released into new seasons, new assignments, new territory. What once felt impossible will now become accessible. Because your endurance has positioned you for authority, doors that resisted you before will now swing wide. Not because they are easier, but because you are stronger. Your presence alone will shift atmospheres. Because you walk, carrying both crown and covenant. Chosen one. Let your life from this moment forward be a declaration. Walk as one who knows they are chosen. Speak as one who carries heaven's authority. Act as one who understands that everything they do ripples into eternity. Do not shrink back into shadows. You are crowned to shine. Do not doubt the value of your voice. You are sent to speak. Do not hesitate to move. You are commissioned to lead. The greatest blessing of your life is not just receiving the crown, but becoming a blessing to others through it. This is the true mark of the chosen. You are crowned not to keep glory to yourself, but to reflect it back to God and extend it to others. You are sent as a vessel, a light bearer, a living testimony that what God begins, He completes. Chosen one. Lift your head high. Wear your crown with humility and boldness. Step into your sending with faith and fire. The journey has prepared you. The trials have refined you. And the blessing has found you. You are crowned and sent for this time, this generation, this moment in history. And nothing in heaven or on earth can strip from you what God Himself has placed upon your head. Chosen one. The journey of these words has drawn to its close. But your journey with destiny is only beginning. You have walked through revelation after revelation, truth after truth, fear after fear. Until now, you stand crowned and sent. Yet the crown upon your head is not a trophy to be hidden, it is a light to be carried, a mantle to be lived. Every battle you endured, every tear you shed, every step you took against the weight of fear has led you to this moment. You are not here by chance. You are here because heaven appointed this hour for you to awaken, to rise, to remember who you are. And now, as you go forward, the call is clear. Live as a chosen one. Speak as a chosen one. Shine as a chosen one. But before you move, I ask from the heart, if this message has stirred you, let it not end in silence. Like this word, not for vanity's sake, but as a declaration that you align with it. Share it, because someone else, still wandering in shadows, may find light through your act of obedience. Subscribe, not as routine, but as covenant, saying, I choose to stay connected to the voice that reminds me of my crown. Led, and if your spirit feels moved to sow, let your giving become seed. Donations are not about loss, they are about multiplication. What you release into fertile soil returns as harvest, both in your life and in the lives of countless others who will hear these words because of your generosity. Finally, I invite you to leave a comment, your own declaration of faith. Write it boldly. Let the earth record it. Let heaven echo it. And let your heart believe it. For you are chosen, you are crowned, and you are sent